Hello and welcome to the Calisthenics YouTube channel. My name is Dennis and today we will look at how we prepared Lucian, an elite athlete, to the heart of steel weighted competition. In this competition, Lucian totaled a 42.5 kg muscle up, a 125 kg dip, a 90 kg chin up, and a 215 kg squat. These were all PRs for the athlete. With this case study, we want to teach you two things. First of all, like just in every other case study, how important individualized training is. And secondly, that you don't have to kill yourself with endless sets at RP 10, grinding everything out like crazy to get good results, even if you're an elite athlete like Lucian is. After the strength war competition that Lucian had this summer, we started a very long hypertrophy phase. This had two reasons. First of all, to implement variation. The months before were very focused on the chin up, on the dip, the lower squat and the muscle up, with very high intensities. Competition lifts are usually very taxing movements. Using different exercises in higher rep ranges gives the athlete the possibility to rest up his joints, especially shoulders, elbows, knees, and hips, and to reduce the psychological stress that comes with such intensities and moving so much weight every session, as well as the stress that comes with training the same movements over and over and over again for months on end. The second reason was, with an advanced athlete like Lucian, it's very difficult to rely on neurological adaptations in order to improve strength. In this case, the major driving force to improve the lifts further, especially for legs where there's a lot of potential of muscle growth, is probably hypertrophy. So building more contractile tissue, more muscle, more gains. However, to still maintain the movements and the technique in the movements and not completely leave them out, Lucian had some variations of them in his plan with very low intensities and very low volumes. RPEs ranging from 6 to 7, nothing more. Now we will take a look at Lucian's plans in detail from July 2021 to February 2020. As you can see here, beside some light pull-up for muscle-ups, 5 sets in total, RP7, 2 easy dip rampings to 95 kgs, and 1 ramping to a 50 kg chin-up with 3 seconds ISO at the top on RP6. Just a little parenthesis, Lucian is extremely strong in the lockout and has a hard time grinding the reps on top. So the top position being extremely stressful on the elbows, we chose extra low intensities. All the other work was done using barbells and machines. This, of course, is not a must, but for sure the most effective way to bring in some variation and maximize hypertrophy on the muscles that we are interested in growing. For the chest, one of Lucian's lacking muscle groups, we used inclined and flat bench, chest flies, as well as paused full range of motion push-ups. For the back, we used the bent over road and some variations of it, as well as lat machine, pulley, neutral grip pull-ups with slow eccentrics, all in the rep ranges between 6 to 9 and 9 to 12. Overhead pushing work was kept to a minimum during these mesos, with just some full range of motion handstand push-ups to not forget the movement. Anterior delts are very rarely the lacking muscle group for street lifting athletes, especially when they used to be skill athletes in the past. Curl variations and tricep pushdown variations were used for the arms. A lot of the work went to improve legs, using full ROM paused high bar squats in quite high rep ranges, as well as hack squats, leg curls, leg extensions, RDLs, and Smith machine squats. In the beginning of the meso, the volume was kept extremely low. 2 to 3 sets per exercise, keeping about 2 to 3 reps in reserve for each set in each exercise, making these all actually effective sets, preventing from extreme dumps after a long phase of high intensities, low reps, and the 2-week deload he had after the competition. Over the course of the weeks, volume and weights were adapted, and the prescribed rear lowered, reaching Lucian's MRVs, known from previous hypertrophy phases. The work on the competition lifts was only slightly changed if the RPE dropped under 6 or 7. We kept the same structure for 3 mesocycles, changing rep ranges and upping loads. After these 3 mesocycles, we changed some exercises around, especially if plateaus occurred. We reintroduced muscle-ups, but still kept them very easy. We reintroduced low bar squats, with 3 sets for easy doubles with pause, and 2 sets of singles with 3 seconds at the bottom, to get used to go low enough and get out of the hole while not losing balance, but still kept most of his leg work on RDLs, hack squats, and high rep high bar squats. Training on dips, one of Lucian's weakest lifts, was increased by adding technical backups. After 2 months working like this, the competition was announced quite spontaneously. We were planning to compete in July actually, so a quick adaptation was needed to prepare and peak the athlete in just 1 month. Going from a full-blown hypertrophy phase to a competition peaking is obviously everything but optimal. But in Lucian's case, we actually had 2 advantages. First of all, we already had started, as you saw before, integrating some of the competition lifts in low intensities the months before. Secondly, from previous competitions where we prepared Lucian, we knew that this athlete doesn't really respond well on high intensities. And in his case, his 1RMs are actually strongest when training away from failure, in low intensities and with a lot of high rep work on the side. We adapted his plan, maintaining the volume of his hypertrophy work as low as possible, the so-called MEV, minimal effective volume, and we pushed his competition lifts slightly more, without exaggerating, since, as mentioned before, he doesn't respond too well on high intensities. Here you can see some of the work he was doing in his first week. Loads were prescribed for Lucian, since especially when working with higher loads, he tends to overestimate RPEs. Through constant communication with the athlete during the sessions, we took decisions to change some loads together if he wasn't feeling 100% that day. After 3 loading weeks, as predicted, the athlete started to feel some fatigue, and we tapered for 2 days, went for 2 rest days before the competition, and then participated. Here you can see his lifts. The first lift in a competition should be an RPE 7 in training, then a common 9 to 8 RPE in training, and then as a third lift, a PR. In preparation for this competition, Lucian had touched a maximum of 35 kgs in the muscle up, 190 kgs in the squat, 85 kgs in the chin up, and 115 kgs in the dip. Everything above that would have probably completely fried him. Of course, peaking an athlete is no magic. There are standardized methods to go about, but knowing the athlete makes the biggest difference. With a typical, more aggressive peak, like we tried with him in the past, the athlete would have ended up completely tired and not performed the way that he did. Of course, controlling his nutrition was a big part of the competition preparation too, but this would be too much for one video. If you're interested for more nutritional content for calisthenics athletes, shoot us a message, leave a comment, and tell us if you are. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you could learn something from this video, and we'll see you next time.